sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Restore Christendom.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes, it is
Wednesday, March 12th at 7:17 p.m. Central. Good
excellent. And today we are joined by Dan. I know he has been on the show before when we were Nephilim Murder Crew.
Mhm.
So his first appearance here on Restore Christendom. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and where they can find you and stuff, Dan?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. That's how I feel like you should say with that intro, the Gregorian chant. I was like, it was pretty much kind of like a Middle Eastern vibe, but I dig it. I dig it a lot.
It's the Our Father in Latin.
Oh, well, you're already better Catholics than I.
Yeah.
That's good. No, my name's Dan. I do a show called the Millennium Media Offensive every Tuesday with my co-host John, where we deconstruct the media lies and everything that they try to sell to you. And there's a lot of them. They
Wait,
sneak them in there. There's a lot of them. But
are you trying to tell me that the media lies? This is the first time hearing of this.
right.
This is new. This is news to me. Hold on.
Kamala Harris is black.
Yes.
It's the most consequential election of our lives.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Trump is a Nazi. That's right. Yeah, literally Hitler.
Literally hit.
Literally
Literally
Hitler.
Hitler.
Yeah. Which
Says people who-
Surprisingly, literally Hitler is a big fan of
literally Zion.
our friends of the Old Testament.
yes. Our little hat people.
That's right. The little hat people.
The little hat people.
Yeah. So
Uh,
how are you guys doing?
we're good.
We're good.
We're surviving Lent. You know,
Yeah.
getting through that. How are you doing with Lent?
Pretty good. Pretty good indeed. I was thinking today when I was driving after work, how it's so funny that we celebrate Christ's birth in winter, which is historically a season of death,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't actually celebrate Christ's death in spring.
Mm-hmm.
We celebrate the resurrection, but that happens in spring.
Mm-hmm.
Which
And
is a season of life giving. Yes.
Life giving, yeah. So it makes a little bit more sense when you think about the resurrection aspect of it. But I read this, and I don't know if it's true, but like Jesus' actual birthday was sometime in April. Have you guys heard that?
Yeah, I've heard something like that. I don't know if that's true or not.
Or do I? I heard it a long time ago.
I do know that the Catholic Church states and admits like the December 25th is not Jesus' actual birthday.
Right.
Nobody thinks that this is the day he was born on. This is just in the liturgical year where we decided, because it's the beginning of the liturgical year. The liturgical years go from December to December, not from January to January. So at the beginning of the liturgical year is when we celebrate the beginning, the birth of Christ.
Sure.
But
I
yeah.
thought-
Oh,
It
good.
was odd. I just
Yeah.
thought the whole life and death thing was kind of odd back and forth.
Yeah.
But the resurrection and the new life makes a lot of sense too, with the
Mhm.
plants coming up out of the ground. Everyone's
Yeah.
got their tomato seeds popping out in their little grow houses.
So I've never actually thought about that until just now. And I guess if we want to go on if we think of December as the wintertime season of death or whatever, and if we use that as his birth point, I think that kind of my interpretation of it in the last few moments would be more of the death of the old covenant. So like that would be more of a more appropriate, I guess, symbology of having his birthday in December in the wintertime.
Yeah.
Because he comes to fulfill the covenant.
To fulfill the
So
law. Yeah.
that's not, we don't have to worry about that anymore. And then in springtime, when the resurrection is, everything is, created anew.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's
good.
pretty
I
cool.
like that. I like that a lot. The death of the old covenant, the vineyard of the wine grower or the vine grower,
Yes, yes.
that kind of stuff.
The new branch grafted on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
Let's just listen to you. You're not as bad a Catholic as you thought you were.
There you go.
Surprise yourself.
You cradle Catholics.
we got it so easy. You
Right?
guys, we look at you guys and you're like, you chose this out of
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
You could, but now we're glad to have you. We're glad
Yeah.
to have you in the gang.
It's like one of my favorite sayings is I don't know if you know who Matt Fradd is, but he's a Catholic YouTuber. He's a huge Catholic apologist and stuff. But he's always he says, it's always amazes me that this day and age people are still coming into the Catholic Church. He's like, and I always tell them welcome, but everything's on fire. It's like, we're glad to have you, but everything's on fire.
Grab a bucket.
And it is kind of true. Like,
Yeah, the Pope's on the ropes too recently as well.
yeah, I heard about your blasphemy, and
Yeah. So I was actually afraid. I didn't want to say it on the show because I didn't want to offend the Catholic extremist demographic.
Yeah.
Emily?
That is Emily.
That is.
I was gonna say,
It was funny that you said that on the following week because not that it gave me pause or anything, but I was like, I really do be like that. I have all of these people terrified. Not like terrified, but like they pause. They think about it. They consider things because they know I'll show up with a wooden spoon. And I kind of I like that, but I'm also like, maybe I should reel that in. Just reel it in a little bit. I don't know.
yeah,
No,
Yeah,
it's good. It'll fit right in the Catholic guilt part of the culture.
yeah,
Oh, good. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do to help keep the Catholic guilt alive.
That's right.
yeah. No, I mean it's you're not wrong though. I mean the Pope is on the road. He's definitely very sick. Depending on who you talk to, I mean some people are demanding proof of life at this point. So
I mean, I would kind of like a picture of the Holy Father sitting in his chair reading the news.
do you know why you haven't seen a picture of the Holy Father?
Probably because taking pictures steals your soul.
No, that's the Amish.
Okay. just kidding.
Because
I thought that was the Aboriginals, but okay.
Not Nice Guy has rated us. Welcome people from Artificial Dissemination.
Oh.
They have rated the stream.
Hello, everybody.
So the reason you don't see pictures of the Pope right now or videos is because JP2, Pope John Paul II, made a rule that you are not allowed to show pictures or videos of the Pope while he's deathly ill.
Oh, that's considerate.
Yeah,
Okay.
because they didn't want
Okay.
people politicizing it or using it.
Photons.
Everybody using it for their own purposes, and they don't want you showing the Pope in his weakened state.
That makes sense.
So
That sounds fair. That sounds fair.
I didn't know that. That is interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was odd because Timothy Dolan, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, made a comment where he's like, he's probably going to die like soon.
Yeah.
Timothy Dolan's the Archbishop of New York, I believe.
yeah. It's weird for him to say that.
It was. He was the Archbishop of Milwaukee. He actually confirmed me.
Oh, wow.
And,
Okay.
Then was given the title the American Pope, which I
Oh.
give to everyone that's the Archbishop of New York.
Okay. I did not know that because I knew the Archbishop of Maryland, Baltimore, has a special title because they were the first diocese in the U.S.
Oh, I guess.
So yeah, so I know the bishop of Baltimore has a special title, honorary title. He has no actual extra powers or anything.
Yeah, it's more of a cultural title, the American Pope that people get. It's not actually anything Catholic at all. It's just
Yeah.
Yeah, just a polite title given to him.
Yeah.
What was that crazy thing Dolan said the other day? Something about Ramadan.
Mm.
What is it? What is it with our people being supportive of the Ramadan? Why? I don't understand. It makes me so angry
Yeah,
that I've heard it from Dolan and then also from old sausage fingers across the pond. Um, the Mohammedans Lent. Talking
yeah.
about King Charles sausage fingers
Okay, I
across the
But
got you.
pond.
actually,
Sorry.
the thing too isn't that they said it's their Lent. They say Catholic Lent or Lent is Catholic Ramadan is how they
Oh,
word it.
that's the
And
phrasing.
that's
Yep.
where that's where it irritates me. It's like, no, Lent was around for hundreds of years before Muhammadans were even a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard quite a few bishops and King Charles and a few other people refer to Lent as Catholic Ramadan, and I'm like,
No,
ooh.
that's not it. That's
I'm down with the after the sun goes down feast, but outside of that,
Yeah,
not my thing.
well, and then also when you look at the community, the Mohammedan community, they kind of just go nocturnal for 40 days. Like they do a bunch of their stuff at night so that way they can just kind of like live a normal life. But for people who have like regular jobs and stuff, they'll just get up at like 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the morning, shovel food in their face, run the day, not have lunch, and then come home, especially this time of year, you're home for like an hour and a half, the sun goes down, and then you get to shovel more food in your face. So
yeah,
it's not
It's kind of like the Orthodox Jews, and
and their
they've
Shabbat fridges.
yeah,
Yes.
they've created a bunch of things to cheat
And the
technically.
fishing guide wire. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's a whole lot of that.
Yeah, it's just
Trying to loopholes in God's law. We're going to trick God.
malicious compliance.
Yeah,
I'll do it, but the way I wanna.
Exactly.
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, the way the Muhammadans do it is in
The Mohammedans.
yes,
What was this? Not nice guy. Shwarmadan.
Shwarmadan. Yeah,
Ramadan? Nice.
yeah.
That's a good one.
But yeah, the way the Muhammadans do it is in their countries. If you're in a Muslim country, they just become nocturnal people. They sleep during the day and they work at nights during Ramadan so that they don't have to fast.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and
so
then
culturally, I think if you had a culture like that, I think that'd be fun, kind of a fun period of time.
Right? Like
yeah,
it's a nice, hey guys, don't forget, we're all gonna be on night shift for the next 40 days. And it works because everybody in the community is doing that. But like that's not I don't think that that's the spirit
It's
of
not the
the
spirit. It's
direction.
absolutely not the spirit.
yeah. So that's very much like the Pharisees type thing, where it's the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but
One other sidebar, as long as we're talking about this, as far as American public schools go, my kid isn't in public school, so I wouldn't have gotten this fun little flyer sent home in her backpack. But maybe one of you people did. Did they tell y'all? Did they let y'all know that the Ramadan kids might be tired and a little hungry and a little thirsty and don't give them nothing because it's a religious holiday? Even though in America they fight tooth and nail to keep the religion out of the public schoolhouse, but we make concessions for the Mohammedans. Um, that's something that bothered me deeply that I started to notice about 2 years ago. Her last year in public school was the first time I saw that, and I was just livid. And then I went looking, and I'm like, "Are other school districts doing this?" Because I was completely baffled why in the middle of a cornfield in Illinois, we'd care about the Mohammedans. Didn't make sense to me. We don't have a mosque anywhere.
yeah,
You mean as a co-host of Restore Christendom that upset you?
Right, wild.
yeah,
It's a crazy thought. Yeah, and so I went looking, and Washington State sends them out, Oregon sends them out, California sends them out. All your libbed out places do it. I
Pretty
just
much.
wonder if anybody else got one of those.
yeah. Yeah, see, us Catholics, we don't get it as easy as the Muhammadans do. They're allowed to eat when the sun's not out. Like you Catholics are pretty strict on when you're fasting, you get one meal a day. I don't care when you eat it. You can eat it whenever you want, but you get one meal a
Yeah, you
day.
just get the one.
You can eat once in 24 hours. Have fun.
Well, we could pull up I have the Lent graphic we could pull up because it's so the church's requirements of us for Lent are so bare minimum. Like you'd have to really, really try hard to mess up what the church wants from you on Lent
Right.
for Lent.
This one
And
right here.
yeah, and the basics, the bare minimum that the church wants from us on Lent is to fast on Ash Wednesday and fast on Good Friday and fish on Fridays during Lent.
Okay,
So it's like it's just the three bare minimums, you know. Here's what is fasting: 1 meal a day and 2 smaller meals, which, if added together, would not exceed 1 full meal.
right.
Which wouldn't that just be like a normal days of eating?
That's
Right,
kinda
a small
Am I
yeah.
that disconnected from how Americans eat at this point in my health journey that I'm like, that sounds like a lot of food?
Yeah, I never eat 3 meals a day.
No,
Right?
no. Yeah, so these are the new rules clearly, but the old rules were 1 meal.
Yeah.
You got 1 meal. In fact, in the Middle Ages, there was but monks would brew a special beer, a special nutrient-rich beer, and then drink nothing but that beer for all of Lent. No food, no, just beer.
Oh,
I'd
yeah,
like
brother.
that.
I'm
Yeah,
all for it.
that's what I'm saying.
Maybe next year I'll drink what's that one that we have here locally? Ah, gosh darn it. Why am I drawing a blank on it? It comes in the white box and it has the monks on it.
Oh, old style.
Old style, yeah. Maybe next year for Lent, I'll just run on old style for 40 days.
I know you guys got old style down there.
No, we
Yeah.
got old style. My grandpa used to have. He was like a collector of old style, those tin boards and
Oh,
the
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
that they'd give to
All the bar
bars.
swag. Yep.
Yeah, bar swag. I think I have an old style stein somewhere in the house in his
Nice.
honor.
Nice.
It would be funny if drinking that beer thing was actually part of modern Catholic culture, and then the flyers were going to schools where the Catholic kids might seem a little drunk, but
Right.
They're just drinking
don't worry, it's
nutrient-dense
part of their
beer
religion.
for Lent.
Basically.
Don't worry. And then it's so there's like age limits, right? So it's 18 to like 59 is the ones like we have to do it. If you're older than 59, I assume that they think that you have a lot of medications to take and you can't go without food. I don't know. I'm sure it's a individual basis. But then it's also like certain like little kids, they don't have to do it, right? Like we're not going to ask little kids to starve their developing bodies of nutrients. But if they're like 14, and they feel like they're capable of it, then we should encourage them. But I think it would just kind of be funny, yeah, like you said, if we had the junior high and high school
Yeah.
kids
And of course
going in a little buzzed.
and the modern Catholic Church only requires you to fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. You don't even have to fast through all of Lent. So
Modern Catholics, man.
yeah, I
Yeah,
blame you
for
for this,
reason.
Dan.
I don't know.
Watch
I heard
the
Dan-
church unravel in front of our very eyes.
Yeah, I heard you were the one that made the call on all these rules, Dan. So
I was like, this whole not eating meat on Friday thing is bullshit. No, I love St. Louis is like a very Catholic city, so it's almost like a culture here, where there's a fish fry. The parish is organized, and so a different parish is doing a fish fry every
Nice.
Friday during Lent. And
Do you guys have? That's probably a dumb question. You guys have Knights of Columbus halls in St. Louis, right? Or no?
oh, I don't know.
Oh,
It
I would assume so. The
Probably.
Catholic town, they would
Yeah.
probably have them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the only reason I ask is because our Knights of Columbus hall is where our parish goes for the fish fries on Friday. Because I don't know if everybody knows this or not, but Knights of Columbus is a Catholic men's fraternity type of organization. You have to be Catholic and you have to be a man to be a part of it. In case anyone was thinking, oh, what's that about?
that used to be the requirements for the YMCA as well.
Really? You had to be Catholic to join the YMCA?
Maybe it was just Christian, but you had to be a man and Christian.
Okay, I buy it.
Young man.
The young male Christians Association.
That's what I thought. I was going to say Catholics, but I was like, that doesn't quite sound the way I remember it. Yeah, Christian Association.
Okay, I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
I guess I never looked too into the YMCA.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't bother with it now, but when it was first started, I'm sure it had.
In St. Louis, we call it the Albanian Club.
Okay, lots of Albanians, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
we do have a lot of. They're the nicest people too. But yeah, a ton of Albanians here.
Yeah, we call it the Albanian Club because there's lots of Persians there.
Right.
You have not seen back hair until you've been into a YMCA's hot tub.
I bet.
right.
I bet.
Oh, I think we'll have to,
Armenians are
That's where
known.
Kamala Harris washes her greens.
we'll have to talk to Reef
Think
about
about
that.
it,
Like, hey,
right?
what's up with your people in the YMCA?
Yeah. Oh yeah. What's your back hair situation?
It's all
How's your fiance feel about that? Does she like your sweater?
right.
Balkan. There's another podcast name. Balkan
Hmm.
Back Hair Podcast.
Oh, that's
Mm.
a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be funny.
Don't rebrand mid-episode though.
Yeah. I feel like I missed the boat on that one with my Tuesdays with Tommy's. I could have Tuesdays with Tommy. I could have called it the Bulk and Back Hair Show.
You could have.
Oh,
You could use it as a title.
yeah.
You could use it as a title.
This week on Tuesdays with Tommy, Bulk and Back Hair.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
sipping on a little espresso cup?
I have been, because it's unclassy, I've been drinking a Miller Lite, but I've been pouring it into a tiny espresso cup.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been drinking a lot. I realize there's no way anyone's going to believe that this is an espresso because I've probably drank about 8 of these since we've been on the show. So
Yeah, well, that's what I was starting to wonder. I'm like, are you just pretending to sip that
Yeah.
thing? Or what's going
Endless
drinking my
espresso?
ancient monk brew
Yeah.
for the for Lent.
Yes, for the 46 days of Lent.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
Uh,
So
what did Christine ask? Have we done research into the break from your sacrifice on Sundays because Lent is 40 days? It sounds like Jewish loophole behavior.
okay, so I
So-
do know about this,
Yeah, go
Christina.
ahead. Yep, go ahead.
So Sunday is considered a feast day. It is the Lord's Day. You should always celebrate on Sundays. So that's where you don't have to fast on Sundays if you don't want to through Lent.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is still the Lord's Day. It is considered a feast day. All Sundays are considered feast days.
Yep. So that, and then also like that's why it's the 40, and then you get the Sundays off is because Sunday is the Lord's Day.
Yeah.
So I understand why it would, on its face, seem as though it might be some loophole logic. Turns out it's just it works out that it's not.
Yeah, no, the Catholic Church is the one place that Jews still haven't infiltrated, so we're not going to worry about the whole tricking God thing. The Freemasons have infiltrated, but the Jews I don't think have. Well, I guess the Freemasons and the Jews are same thing. Same, but different.
My mom was in a multi-Christian Bible study, and she came up with the idea that and every time I speak to her, I try to convince her otherwise, but the Jews are God's chosen people.
Oh God, isn't your mom Catholic?
Yeah, but she's saying she believes that they're like His special people.
Okay, well you should.
Well, I think Down syndrome people are God's special people.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess we can all have our thoughts.
Next time she says it, just let her know that the Catechism of the Catholic Church disagrees with her.
Disagrees. Yeah, exactly. I tried to tell her about what is their book? Not the Torah, but they've got this other book.
The Talmud.
The Talmud.
Oh yeah.
And the Talmud's views on Jesus. And also I try to read to her New Testament views, like the one I mentioned earlier, the vine grower, the keeper of the vine grower, where it pretty much says Old Covenant is dead. And because you did not accept me, so are you.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, the answer is Xerox. Yeah, the Catholic Church is similar with the feast days that fall, like the Annunciation on March 25th is a feast day. So Catholics are allowed to break Lent for that.
We actually, at our parish, we're having a women's only mass on March 20th. I mean, like, obviously Father Adam will be there running it, so it won't be only women. But it is, it's for women to come to church. And then, was it the 19th?
The 19th for the for St. Joseph, they're having a men's only mass.
Yeah.
So
that's a kind of cool thing.
Sometimes there's a special discompensation on St. Patrick's Day.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess it is a feast day.
If it falls on like a Friday or a Sunday
Mm-hmm.
during Lent, they'll allow you to do whatever.
Nice.
Yeah. You're welcome, Christina. So
Christina is a cradle Catholic as well.
yes,
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
that's the funny thing is you guys obviously know way more about Catholicism than I do because I was just born into it.
Yeah, and honestly, had I been born into, well, I guess technically I was. I guess I'm technically a revert, not a convert, because I was baptized Catholic.
Mhm.
I was just never confirmed because my mom left the church. But all the paperwork I've got to do with the church for all the various things we're doing, like convalidation of our marriage and stuff, has me listed as cradle Catholic, basically. And she's the one converting.
Yeah, I'm the one converting. We're getting our marriage convalidated. And as you know, because there's did you and Elise get married in the church? You guys
Yeah,
did, right?
yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you've been through that process where they ask you all these questions, and then they get to the part where, like, if it's a Catholic and a non-Catholic getting married, they're like, Father Adam asked Tom, "Are you willing to do everything in your power to get your wife to convert and raise your children Catholic?"
Yeah, because I'm the Catholic in our marriage.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yes,
yeah,
Father, I will take this burden on. As
Yeah.
Right?
I will pick up this cross.
yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I was making a point. Oh yeah, I was gonna say if I were born a cradle Catholic, I probably wouldn't have done all the research I've done. I'd go to
Go with
church
the
and I'd
flow.
receive the Eucharist and I'd do the things I've been told to do my whole life. But I know a bunch because I was like, okay, I'm Christian and I gotta, one of these people is right. You know what I mean? So I gotta figure out who. And so I had to do the research to figure out who, and then I wound up being Catholic after doing the research. But like, yeah, so it makes sense that people who convert have a little more knowledge because they're the one trying to figure this out, you know?
Oh, absolutely. It's like when
Yeah.
people take their citizenship test.
Yeah,
You know?
most people that
Pretty
take a
much.
citizenship test know much more about civics and our country than most Americans do. Yeah.
Exactly.
And see, that's an excellent point, sir. I hadn't thought about it that way, but that is absolutely very apt analogy on that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a cradle Catholic.
Yeah.
We're so apt with those analogies.
Ugh.
So good.
Yeah.
Not nice guy asked if we do not fast for Lent, do we go to hell?
No.
Maybe.
So my understanding of Lent thus far is that we tie whatever we're going through in these 40 days, any of our sufferings, any of our little tummy rumblings in 2025, like we're supposed to associate that with the sufferings of Christ. And then also the other side of it is that Jesus went into the desert for the 40 days to prepare himself for what he had to do. So this is supposed to be more like a 40-day, like a spiritual and mental and physical type of, almost like a boot camp of sorts, right?
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be allowing God to shape you and remold the parts of you that need to be remolded to be a better servant of him. So no, I don't think you go to hell if you don't participate in the things required of you. I do think it'll add some extra time to your sentence in purgatory.
Yes.
Um,
I heard when the devil turned the rock to bread in the
Mhm.
desert, Jesus asked, "Is it St. Patrick's Day?" And the devil goes, "No." He goes, "Shit."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was that Luke 4.
Luke 4, chapter 9. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's in the NIV version.
yeah, at the very least, it's in the KJV.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is interesting. Last night you made a comment about the real Bible has
Oh yeah,
3.
73 books
Mhm.
and not 66. We had a donation come in today from someone I think you guys should talk to, have on the show.
Okay.
Colin Schultz does basic instructions before leaving this Earth podcast.
Oh,
Okay,
nice.
yeah.
And it's pretty much he kind of goes through the books of the Bible and does like a 20-minute episode on each chapter. I think it's pretty interesting stuff.
I'll check them out.
But he explained how Psalms is pretty much like 5 books of the Bible, and so some Protestants have 70 books in the real Bible. Is what he was saying. So,
Oh.
yeah, I think you guys could have a good conversation with him.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
because the only variation I guess that we have as Catholics is if your version splits Jeremiah and Lamentations. If Lamentations and Jeremiah aren't the same book, then you have 72, and if they're separated as they should be, then you have 73. I did not realize Protestants split Psalms into like 5 different books.
I
That's
might.
weird.
I read it quickly when I was working today, so I might have gotten some facts wrong. But
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were going to split up a book into separate parts, Psalms would be the one. Just because he has, like, in my little pocket book of Psalms, it gives you, like, if it's a request, like a prayer for something, or like a praise, or like there's different types of Psalms within all the Psalms. So some of them are for Thanksgiving, some of them are for I need something out of this, some of them are just praising God, some of them are just, David whining.
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
The different books of the Bible. What is the right version in your eyes?
I'm a Douay Reams.
She's a Douay Reams. I have no problems with the Douay Reams, but I mean it's good. I'm just not a big fan of the flowery language and stuff.
Sure.
Because it's Douay Reams was a couple decades before the King James, so
Yeah.
it's right on the same time period, right around. So it's got that same. I like the RSV Catholic edition. I think that's one of the better versions. It's very much like the Douay Reams with the King James, where it's a very good translation, a very direct. There's not a lot of interpretation and what's the word I'm looking for? Paraphrasing. There's not a lot of paraphrasing in it. It's pretty much a good translation, but it uses a more modern vernacular.
Sure.
So get rid of the these and add some thes or yous, and you know what I mean?
Thou.
Yeah.
So I in RIC I created a chat bot command. Basically, if you do ! Bible, it'll just pull a random Bible verse for you, and you can
Nice.
find whatever kind of meaning you want in that. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I used to do as a kid. I'd pop it open and be like, I'd ask a question and use the Bible as like a magic 8-ball.
Nice.
Hey, I love that you said that, because when I was younger, somewhere around like 21, 20 to like probably 25 is when I stopped doing that. I'd sit down with my Bible and I'd be like, okay, Lord, what am I supposed to learn today? And then I just like thumb through until I was like, this is where I'll stop. And then I just crack it open and I looked at the page, and like whatever the first verse I saw, whatever my eyes fixed on, I'm like, okay, that's my message for the day. I'm good.
You're out there
Sometimes they didn't
throwing.
make sense
You're out
at
there
all.
throwing seeds in a field.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh, funny. Since we were talking about this before the show, this the EV Mux program we're using, it has a built-in Bible app.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it's got a thing. You pick the verse, and it puts it up on screen.
Wow, woe to you.
Yeah,
You don't want people to speak well of you.
yeah. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. After we started using this, I was like, "Oh, hey, what the heck is this Bible app?" And I opened it. I was like, "Oh crap! It's got a couple different versions. It's got the King James and the NIV and a few other, and then a few different language translations. Got a German translation and a Spanish translation. And yeah, you just literally just scroll through it or type in the book and the verse you want, and it pops it up on screen.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Pretty handy.
Yeah, I made this, and I had the audacity of only using the King James version, and now I've got people trolling me, asking me for the NIV.
Uh,
Get the NIV in here. I'm like, I'll try.
I mean,
I don't do this stuff for a living.
I was gonna say, yeah, they're free to write the code for it and
That's
just
what
give
I
it to me
said.
so
I
I
was
can
like,
paste it. If you want it
here's
that
the
bad.
source you added in there.
Right.
right.
How bad do you really want it?
Man, you are a bad Catholic using the King James version. That's a Protestant Bible.
Well, in his defense, our little Bible plugin
Is the King James,
only
yes.
has the KJV.
Yes, that's the only problem with this EVMux platform is their Bible app does not have any Catholic editions. It's all Protestant Bible. It's all so you can't get any of the good.
God's lesser children.
Yeah.
Yes.
His runaways.
All the people going to hell, those people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Little teenage runaways. That's all right. We still love them.
Yes.
They'll come back. They're already headed back in droves. So much so that the evangelicals are like, What do we do to fight the Catholics? Because
Yeah,
we're losing our people.
have you seen that on Twitter and a few other places lately? The Protestants are like getting together. A lot of the bigger Protestant names and the televangelists and the big name preachers, the James Whites and them people are all going to get together. They got to try to figure out a way to combat all the Protestants converting to Catholicism.
So, I mean, I saw that a lot of people were closer and closer to the election. A lot of people were converting to stuff like the Eastern Orthodox religions and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I
Yep.
think it was because of their grow towards tradition. And I think Gen Z is one of these generations that's like attracted to the old tradition and that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see it as a really positive for Catholicism.
yeah,
So long
not
as they keep all of their other crazy ass beliefs
Yeah.
out of it.
Right.
Not
Yes.
to piss off any of our Orthodox followers and people viewing right now, because I love you guys, and you know you have valid sacraments,
You're
whatever.
totally fine. Keep doing what
yeah,
you're doing. We just
but-
don't want these people.
But in my experience, and from what I've been seeing, people usually go to the Orthodox Church first because it's the tradition without the Pope. And everybody coming from Protestant people still have this thing against the Pope. But a lot of these people eventually wind up coming to Catholicism because Orthodox Eastern religions are too ethnically based. And they eventually just wind up realizing that and realizing that it's really not geared towards them, and they wind up going Catholic at the end. But not all of them. That's not all of them, but there was a good chunk of people to do that. It's all over the internet of people that was their route. They went from Protestantism to Orthodox for the tradition, and then eventually was like, this is very, ethnically, regionally based. I don't know if ethnically, maybe more regionally based.
Yeah.
We tried the Eastern Orthodox, but my wife's baklava sucks.
Yeah.
Right.
There are plenty of Americans that join the Eastern Church and enjoy it and stay. So, but I always see that as a step towards Catholicism when people convert to Eastern Orthodox,
Especially Americans. And
Yes.
my only not frustration, I guess, my only reservation about the Gen Zs and even our millennials going to the Orthodox Church is that, like, I don't want you taking your American ass in there and mucking it up for those people. Like, you're not, you as an American are so far removed from suffering and the grace of God and just how bad God can let things get for you before he swoops you into safety. Like, you don't know what that is the same way, I don't know, somebody from Ukraine or Russia or Georgia, the country. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have that type of, like, it's not in your bones to be that dedicated and that spiritually connected to God. And not that I think that, like, American Catholics are less connected. I just think that you'll have more benefits. You'll fit in better in Catholicism. You won't be so disappointed in yourself for not being able to attain the levels of holiness and the piety and everything else that these European people have.
Right. No, I like that.
And that's just that's the only reason I ever tell somebody not to go to Orthodox is because you're American. It's not for you.
Mhm.
It's not for you.
Yeah,
That's not your church.
you don't know what it's like to suffer like that. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't know what it's like to have famine.
any
Right?
any American who thinks they know what it's like to suffer, you know what I mean? Even the lowest American, the homeless, still live far better than people in most countries.
I don't know, man. I was up till 3 a.m. cramming for that final.
Yeah.
Right? It was really
Yeah.
hard.
Like-
Ripping a Newport outside, asking God for an A.
Yeah.
My internet was so slow, but I
Like-
didn't get mad.
Like if you just sit down and think about it, like we have fat homeless people in this country. You know what I mean? We have morbidly obese homeless people in this country.
Yeah.
That is actually very funny to think about.
Yeah, no, seriously. That's how little Americans know about suffering. We have morbidly obese homeless people in this
Mhm.
country.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. Like, if you are an American and, like, your people are American and you're American for, I don't know, like 3 or 4 generations, like, just don't disrespect Orthodoxy by taking your dumb ass in there. Don't do that. Don't do that. And
Yeah.
don't heap suffering upon yourself, because It's yeah, the whole idea of like being in church and in community is to have to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth, right? And if you can't even get your way into the community, how are you going to actually help them bring anything to earth? You're just kind of always going to be off to the side.
Right.
Or the other thing that'll happen is that so many Americans will rush in there and you guys take over that poor parish. You take it over and you strong arm them like the boomers have done to the Catholics.
Well,
That's not very inclusive.
yeah.
Right.
Although
Exactly.
there are plenty of American Orthodox priests nowadays, so I don't know. I don't know.
I don't-
It is what it is.
I just don't want to see orthodoxy end up some watered down thing.
What already is.
I
We
mean,
got a large Greek population here too. I walk in and I go to their church for Euro night or whatever.
nice.
And yeah, it could be you're like it could very well be a Catholic church with a lot of dark-haired, greasy people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's how most of them are. But
That's a
like
greasy people, yeah.
but like you said, they're the Greeks, right? So that's where
Yeah.
their people go. So as they emigrate and they settle in St. Louis, like this is, oh hey, you're Greek, come to our church. Come. We have, if you miss home, we have a home. Come hang out with us.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We don't really have any Eastern churches here in the area.
No, we don't.
Not imagine that Peoria, Illinois doesn't have a huge Eastern Orthodox presence. Shocker.
Wild. Middle
Uh,
America.
We got an evangelical church in every corner, though.
Yeah.
But you guys have a lot of Lutherans, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like 3 Lutheran churches in our tiny town.
Yeah. We even have an Anglican church on the outskirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, my best friend, he's Lutheran and he's from Staunton, Illinois, which is like 20 minutes over the river from.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, everyone was just Lutheran.
Yeah.
And it's like that's just what everyone was Lutheran.
Yeah.
And so he married a Catholic girl, and it was kind of funny when you were talking earlier. He went through the whole same thing too.
Yeah, the questions.
Like, yeah. You got to make sure that he converts and raises the kids Catholic.
Right? He's like, I'm thinking about it. He's not. He's
Yeah.
not at all.
One day he might.
Yeah.
One day he might.
Possible.
Ooh, so we have
I'll say, do we want to actually cover this thing here?
yeah, you can pop that up.
Yeah, I'll pop this up.
So we've got
This is
2
something that's been floating around the internet for a couple days now. And JC, actually, one of the viewers here, actually posted his comment here, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, and then we'll chime in with the actual Catholic Church and the Catechism, because the Catechism specifically actually addresses this topic. So, yeah, let me get this up on the screen here. Sorry.
Are you smarter than a convert?
Right.
that would be a
No,
hilarious
I am
show.
not.
That would be a hilarious show for like EWTN to put on.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Okay, so this says basically who comes first? If somebody's people are dying, okay, and you can only save one. Do you save your mother, your wife, or your daughter?
Oh man, I would say daughter.
Okay. So you're on
Who
top.
comes first, your mom, your daughter, or your wife? Mom, daughter, wife. Daughter, wife? Wife's replaceable. Okay. Oh, wow, replaceable.
Daughter, if I'm on good terms with my wife, then wife.
Daughter. Daughter's at 1, okay. Uh-oh.
Daughter, mom, wife.
Daughter, mom, wife?
You know what I'm saying? You could always find another wife.
I was raised by a single mother, so my mom's got to come first. Then my daughter.
Then your
my
daughter,
wife,
then your wife?
Then my wife.
Okay, so that we get the point there. Also, JC not dying for Israel on X. The old must protect the young. It's for society and to make sense. Both spouses must be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice necessary so that the next generation may live on. Children come first. So JC is saying the daughter, and you're saying the daughter.
Mhm.
I was answering from what I assumed a Catholic perspective.
What would be your honestly your honest opinion for you personally?
Well, I don't have a daughter right now, so my wife. Probably.
You would say wife overall?
Yeah.
Okay, ding, ding, ding. That is the correct answer.
That is the correct
Wife?
answer.
Yes, the correct answer is wife.
And it's I have a follow-up post that okay, so
Le-
JC
yeah, let me hold on, let me get this down and
he adds a qualifier. Note how everything has become inverted since the boomers have taken over. This rose a fever pitch during the lockdown era where the boomers lost all composure and demanded that the entire world slow to a screeching halt just for them at the expense of everyone else. It was shameful. So I
understand that, JC. And my brain naturally does kind of want to go there because the boomers have screwed things up so much and they only think about themselves. But the Catechism of the Catholic Church is very clear on this, and I tend to agree with the Catechism. As in, once you marry, you and your wife become one. You and your wife become one flesh. That is the God's will. You and your wife.
leave your parents.
Yeah,
and
you
leave
will leave your parents and be with your spouse. That is what it says it in the Bible. You leave your parents to become one with your spouse. Now, also, most people, and especially Catholics, probably have more than one kid. So you're going to sacrifice your wife and then make the other 4 kids grow up without a mom so you could save your one daughter?
Yeah.
That makes
a
no
kid
sense.
factory.
Yeah, exactly. You can make more
Where all
kids.
those people come from?
That daughter will go, if you were a good parent and did your job, that daughter will then go to be with Jesus and God in heaven, and you'll be sad about it, but no, that is the correct answer. You can make more kids. You probably already have more kids. You don't sacrifice one of the parents for the kid. And I think a lot of people miss this in today's society.
Yeah.
Your duty is to your spouse and then to your kids.
Yeah. Well, and I think that kind of does go back to the boomers who are just insanely selfish. Like
Yes.
it's not about their spouse. It's certainly not about their children. It's about themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the culture that we've all been brought up in, where you just you be super super duper about yourself and you do what you have to do for everybody else, but like it's numero uno is me.
Right.
And that's the far swing this way. And then the dude who said his mom, that's just an unhealthy relationship. That's just single motherhood come
Can I agree? What's
home to roost.
my dad doing?
Right? Yeah.
Where's
no,
he in this?
Yeah, I agree with you, JC. It is a simplistic hypothetical. I'm not trying to give you too much
We're
crap.
not. We are definitely not.
It's just yeah, no, and I completely understand your point that you were making about the boomers and how they became so selfish.
Yes.
I just wanted to point out that the Catechism actually states that it is your duty is to your wife and then your children or your spouse, so whether it be a husband or wife. Your duty is to your spouse and then your children.
That makes sense to me. I was just guessing the Catholic perspective, but during some Catholic ceremonies, and I don't know if they do this for all of them, but they did it for mine, where they have 2 candles that are lit, and then there's the central candle. And basically, when it's explained in common parlance, it's basically the 2 each of the separate candles represent, the husband, the wife, and then you die. Pretty much, when the candle gets blown out, you die, but you're united in that.
And the new one candle. Yep.
So to answer Curtis's question, yes, if you're not married, say your wife left you or you died or whatever, you're in a weird scenario where you have a child but no wife, then yes, you would save the child before your mother.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and then the other side of it is that our inclination as human beings would be to save the child, right? Save the helpless, defenseless child. That's a good instinct to have, right? As just a regular average person. But when it comes to like husband and wife situations, not that like you should, let your kids fall into the Harambe pen or anything, but like you should definitely pick your spouse.
Yeah.
And then the 2 of you can save the child, right? Hypothetically, depending on the crazy situation, but like it's
yeah. I think we can all agree though is the most disturbing part about this video
was that they all said their wives were replaceable.
the amount of men that said their mother.
Yeah.
You can tell that they
finish
were
the
raised
video.
by single parent moms. Like there was no dad in the picture.
Yeah.
I've seen it before. Just people like guys that I don't know. I'm not really friends with anyone that are like mama
Mama's
boys,
boys,
but
yeah.
I've been adjacent with people, friends of friends that are definite mother's boys, and it's odd. It is very odd.
Weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, the fact that a man would pick his mother over his wife is ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, and then like the justification that a lot of them will give is like, she was a single mom.
She gave up so much for me. I'd have to like.
But then you're facing the issue of you're just making the same mistakes your father did, son. Right? Like you're choosing someone over your spouse, which is what your daddy did, right? He chose a pack of cigarettes over you and your mama. So here you are just choosing your mama over your wife and your kid.
Yeah.
And it's the same mistake being made generationally, just slight variances.
Yeah, and I'll also, JC, to your point, there are examples of Catholic saints who did just that, who went through with a risky childbirth and wound up dying, knowing they were going to die
Mhm.
out of the love for the child. So I mean, no one's going to condemn you for something like that by all means. But
No.
like I said, the technical answer is what was that saint? I can't remember her name now. Who had like 6 children and wound up dying during childbirth.
Oh, I can't remember her name. either.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's like no one's going to condemn you to hell for it, but I'm just saying the technical correct answer is the order would be wife, mother, or wife, child, mother.
Yeah.
But
There
I
you
think
go.
we can all agree that the fact that anybody says mother first is just
Goofy.
yeah.
They got mommy issues.
You're sitting on a
What are you trying to do, babe?
I want to finish this video.
Okay, well then tell me that because you're not doing this right.
All right. Well, can we finish this video?
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Now you can finish your video.
Okay.
Oof. This might be a scorchingly hot take, but not one of those men answered that question correctly. In a marriage, your spouse always has to come first because that's the only appropriate way to raise children, with the expectation that their spouse should put them first. And in a stable, loving household with low chance of divorce. And beyond that, I don't really know how to explain this phenomenon of men and their moms being unhealthily attached at the hip when they are grown up. I actually had a guy tell me one that I will never be as important to him as his mom several years into a relationship. And I don't think he meant that in a negative way. I'm glad he had a great relationship with his family. But if you are discerning spending the rest of your life with someone and your mom still ranks on the priority list, then you really aren't ready for the type of commitment that marriage requires, in my opinion.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. Yeah, Xerox, she's not so good at the editing. It's very choppy.
little bit. That makes a lot of sense. You know, my mom kind of made it easy for me though, with making that choice.
Mine too, good sir. I'm not a man, so it's not exactly the same, but
Yeah, I guess
Still.
I had a good relationship with my mother, and she raised me well enough to know that I sacrifice her ass if I have to.
yeah.
Right.
Well, and oh, go ahead.
I understand. I married. I call her my semi-trad kind of wife, like semi-charmed kind of life.
Mm-hmm.
My semi-trad kind of wife, because she does work still, but she's like an excellent baker, gardener, very very nurturing, motherly.
Perfect.
Takes care of
Everything
me.
you'd want in a wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So back to the marriage convalidation, since we've all been through this. Did your priest ask you, what do you like about her? What makes you be
Thanks,
with
JC.
her? Did you guys have that question in any of the meetings that you had with him?
He had us write letters to one another, and then also a letter. Like, so he had us write letters to one another, and then also, like, he read them.
Oh,
But because he used them as his homily. And it was the way that he did it was very sweet. You know, it sounds like kind of like a violation of privacy, but you know, he
A little
ahead of
bit,
time,
yeah.
he's like, I'm gonna read these letters, and then say them in front of everybody.
yeah.
But it was really nice because it was like, this is me expressing absolutely everything that I love about her,
hmm
and then sharing that with everybody else. if there's ever
That's
a time
awesome.
to tear up in public, that's it. Because
To
you're
be
like,
mushy gushy at
Jesus
your
Christ,
wedding.
these are my deepest thoughts and emotions, and now you're reading them in front of everybody that has ever loved me.
Right.
So
That's cute.
yeah, it was cute. I guess
Uh,
like a German Shepherd puppy.
Yeah.
uh, so because we're in RCA and we're coming up on confirmation, we're trying to like not necessarily rush convalidation, but we're the first people that Father Adam is like, I don't really have to do like all of this. Like I just can have conversations with you guys and I'll ask you all the questions I need to, but just know that you're getting a different version of this experience
Because
than
you
other
guys are
people get.
Yeah.
taking
It
it
actually
too
is like,
far.
yeah, it's funny too, because he's like, I used to always give priests a hard time about just kind of going through the motions and rushing people through this, but I guess I kind of understand now.
I
There's some people
understand
don't need all
sometimes.
this, not, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but not everybody
It's
needs,
probably because you've already read like 3 books on everything he's about to tell you.
yeah.
Well, that and we're already married. It's it's not like we're two people who are like young and Catholics and like we're trying to start our lives, Um,
Yeah,
but
we've already got a family, been together for a lot of years. Like,
yeah. So it was a little nerve-wracking for a mere moment, but then I was like, okay, I have my answer. But it was funny. Tom's answer was cute. She takes care of me.
she takes care of me. I wouldn't be able to function without her. So,
It's
I was like,
true.
yeah.
solid. Best answer I could ask
So
for.
Yeah.
this is different than like we had a retreat for a couple of weekends in a row where we like got together and we talked about. And it's got to be different because you guys were already married, but it was pretty much about preparing for marriage.
So,
Yeah, so we actually do have to go to a weekend retreat thing.
mhm.
I guess we don't have to, but he asked us if we would, and he said we would enjoy it. And Father Adam knows us. So I think if he says we would enjoy it, we're like, okay, fine, we'll go.
Dan, are we gonna hate it? Is it gonna
No,
suck?
it's good. You're gonna be disappointed with
Oh.
everybody else that's getting married in the church for sure.
Oh,
Probably.
well, that's
But
fine.
Yeah,
there's gonna be a part where they split you off, and you're gonna go with the guys, and the girls are gonna go with the girls, and the guy leader's gonna be like, "Does anyone want to, talk about sex?"
Ugh.
Dude, it's so. Everyone was like, "Nah, we're good. We're
Yeah.
good. We'll figure it out."
Yeah, no, he was like, yeah, you guys should go. You'll probably get some stuff out of it. I think you guys will enjoy it. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah, then we'll go and do it. He was like, okay, cool. It's $400. It's like, oh,
Okay.
okay.
All
Because
right.
he's like, it's a weekend thing. It pays for your room and your food, and like they got some things. And I'm like,
Oh, you guys have to stay somewhere?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
You just like showed up at 8 a.m. on a Sunday and left at like 8 p.m. on a Sunday
No.
for 2
Yeah,
Sundays.
Well, that's the thing is we could. I mean, I don't know if they have that option
they don't.
here, but ours is you show up you check in like on a Friday night, and then you do all day Saturday, and then or was it all day Saturday and part? Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
day.
it's Saturday for most of the day. Then there's some downtime and like I think some fellowship or like there's a meal and some things and there's stuff to do and you go out and do some things in the town. And then Sunday is a most of the day thing, and then you gotta go home. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll-
you might have fun. You might meet some people.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be kind of like, this
awkward.
is like, have you guys talked about finances? How
Yeah.
many kids do you want to have? And you're just like, Elise and I are like sitting there in this class. We're like, yep.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
you're looking around. There's other people that are like, oh God, we haven't talked about that at all. It's like,
That
let's
and
have a 2-hour discussion about this.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, I can understand, right? Like I understand why this is the process. Just because marriage isn't until death do us part, right? Like even if
Right.
you do manage to get divorced and have your marriage annulled and all, or not even annulled, but like even if you do manage to get divorced as a Catholic, you technically don't get to remarry until that other person's dead or you get an annulment. And the chances of you getting an annulment, like, as a Catholic who just wants a divorce in 2025 because, I don't know, your Fifi's got hurt or the waitress at Hooters looks good, like, that's not it don't cut it. you're still married to that person.
Right.
So with the seriousness of marriage, it makes sense to bring people in and say, "Hey, I don't, you've never done this married thing before, but do you guys know, like, it's about finances, it's about your future children, it's about, your
Yeah.
communication skills, it's about you as the individual, understanding you as the individual, so that way, um, once you understand yourself, then you can begin to understand your spouse and how you guys can work and balance each other out and become actually equally yoked. So, like, it's a good thing. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't
I
like
had
people that much.
I agree with Arcane
Arcane.
Arsenals.
Yeah.
What his comment too. It's true because if you have common sense, you're like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. But there's a lot of people that just don't
And
have,
they
think
Yeah.
just
that
kind of
ask those
willy-nilly it.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah. He does have a very valid point, Arcane. There are a lot of people that probably definitely need this.
Yeah.
As opposed to just going through it, or maybe we'll have a little fun. But yes, there's definitely people who need it for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think of like the different stages in life people might be in. You have younger people now. I think like Gen Z. I think they're going to be the next ones to start just getting married out of high school. I don't think they're going to break up and do the college thing. I don't think that they're going to be doing the dating thing. I think we're going to have like a generation of high school sweetheart marriages, junior high sweetheart marriages. I think that's what we're headed for, only because they just yearn for that level of tradition. And they also dislike immigration policies as much as the rest of us, but understand that without more people, we just can't function. So we have to replace ourselves at least.
Yeah.
Um,
And maybe and I know other people see that too. It's not just that, like, I think that was part of the big push from the government to get as many young people to take that vaccine as humanly possible.
oh yeah,
So they can't breed and they have to be replaced with immigrants.
That's right.
that went dark.
Yeah.
Makes sense though. If I was a bad guy, that's what I'd do.
Yeah, yeah. I always think from the bad guy angle. Like if
Oh,
I
yeah.
if I was trying to take over the world.
Right. What
So
would
do
I?
I. I always put myself in that, and it oftentimes leads me to reacting quickly and overreacting in certain situations.
Yep.
Yeah,
That is for sure, sir.
I've been there. I've been there.
Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and then also like the mass amount of people who come from broken homes or never really even had the home to begin with, right? Like the single motherhood epidemic. The yeah, it's marriage in America hasn't been respected, I think is the proper word. It's just been treated as like a piece of paper,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
like something you do. Go to Disney World or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. My parents got divorced when I was young. And my dad was always in the picture. Not like, my dad was never around. He was always around, like always around. So, I mean, I was blessed in that way.
Show up to dole out whoopings around.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I'll call your father. He'll
Uh,
swing by.
So I was very fortunate in that way, but I remember like my brother seems to think he had a horrible childhood, even though I don't know where it comes from. But he was one of those people that was like, oh, I'm never going to be like that with my kids. I'm never going to get divorced. My kids are going to grow up with both parents in the household, and he's divorced twice.
Womp womp.
Exactly. Well, it does. It happens. Like my brother-in-law came from a divorced family, and now my sister and brother-in-law are going through marriage issues because he's
Doesn't know how to model married life.
in a moral piece of shit.
Yeah.
Well,
That happens.
yeah.
That happens.
Yep. Sounds like my brother. More piece of shit. Yes. Oh.
I just avoid them on holidays because it's a
I
deep
don't-
river.
Right. Yeah.
And,
I don't want
cement's
to
pretty
start the
cheap.
fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one to start the fight on Christmas.
I don't want to have to go to jail.
Yeah. I haven't spoken to my brother in 3 years now. 2 years now. 2 years.
2. Well, since he came for
Yeah. So 2 years.
yeah.
Yeah. 2 years.
That
Yeah.
was a wild. That was
Yeah.
the last time we saw him was wild.
And then like we saw him a couple years ago, and we went through a short period of time where we were speaking to him, where I
Mhm.
was speaking to him for like a 2-year period. Before that, I hadn't spoken to him in over a decade. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's the kind of person you cut off. You know what I mean?
Well, it's interesting I don't know if I mentioned this last time I was on the show, but like the different cultures. So like my family, my parents barely talk to their siblings, and it's not out of animosity. It's just
What are we going to talk
yeah,
about?
exactly. It's like not part of their ingrained in their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them talk to their siblings, and so like I text my brother. I rarely talk to my sister, but like my wife Elise, her and her siblings, they're all like super involved and know what's going on with each other. And it was like a cultural shock at first,
Yeah.
where I would tell Elise something, and then my mother-in-law would be like, "Oh, I heard you're struggling with this." Like I'm like, "What?
Where'd you hear
Why
that
would you tell
from?
your mom that?"
I don't know.
That's
It's
Yeah.
weird.
a conversation.
Yeah, so my
Yeah.
mom and her sister were always close. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
my lived next door my whole life. That's how close they were. And my dad is semi close with his sister. They talk pretty regularly. But my dad doesn't really talk to his brother. But of course, my dad's brother's 18 years older than him. So, you know, what are they going to talk
What
about?
Yeah.
exactly?
They never really had a relationship. By the time my
You ever
dad
see
came
a
along,
boob?
yeah. Well, by the time my dad came along, my uncle Dick was joined the Air Force, and you know, so he was in the Air Force. He was away in California and all over the country doing the Air Force thing for. So yes, I mean they never really had a relationship. So I kind of get that.
Me and my siblings, I think I guess right now Daniel and I probably talk the most to each other.
Good
But
name.
yeah, it is a good name. I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's a text message or a phone call, I'll answer it, right? Like I don't actively avoid them.
No.
It's just like we grew up together. Like I don't, not that I've had enough of you, but like unless you need me, how's your weather, right? Like I'm not gonna. What are we gonna talk about? Um,
Usually parents. Can you
oh,
believe mom and dad?
Yeah.
honestly, that's usually how the conversations go. It starts with a text. Your mother is usually how it starts from either my
Yeah.
brother or my sister. So I get the your mother text, and then it's a phone call, and then we're chatting about it. And I'm like, well, as the oldest sibling, all I can do is say is that's our mother, and that's who God assigned us. So let's make the best of it, guys,
Yeah.
as we have our whole lives.
Save your daughter first.
Yeah.
Or save your wife first. Sorry.
Save your wife first for sure.
Save your wife first, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, and I don't think that that's super uncommon. As much as like I don't really like it. I think that's kind of like our normal thing. And it's probably because we're all Americans and we're all so spread out and we're, you know, worried about our own stuff and we don't really have that sense of community and village type of
Right.
mentality that we used to have.
Well, it's weird for me because like, you know, my closest blood relative's 4 hours away,
Mm,
Indianapolis. But again, I've been now adopted into this family, Elisa's family, and it's like it's a complete culture shift
complete
for me.
different,
It's
yeah.
just like my parents are coming over for dinner on Friday. I was like, we just had dinner at their house last Saturday. I was like, yeah, they miss you. I was like, oh well,
Yeah.
cool, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Why do they always want to spend time with me?
I
Right.
know.
Yeah.
It's like a moody teen. Like,
Right,
leave me
yeah.
alone.
I'll be in
Gosh.
my bedroom if you need me.
Yeah. I'll be in my studio.
So now that we've covered that, I guess I mean, we got Dan on the show, so we got to talk some politics and media and news. Like
Do it.
we've got the expert on the show. We might as well. We try not to talk about politics too much, but I think it's worthy with all that's going on right now.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? I know we talked about this a little before the show, and I said that something just seems fishy with the whole Trump thing. You know, with the way 2020 went down, the way 2016 went down. It was like, oh hey, Trump wins. Like, you know what I mean? And then 2020 was all the shenanigans, and then 2024, everybody was like, Trump wins again. You know, like it just seems shady to me. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I shared them, and I share them every week with people, but effectively,
At MMO.show.
MMO.show. Check it out.
Or rubyridge.lol.
Yeah, that's right. I actually just bought randyweaver.xyz today to play around with AI stuff. So
Nice.
more coming on that front. But you know, Trump has created, you know, he's the reformer. This guy, he's not really a Republican. He's outside the Republican Party, and a lot of people were very excited about him. because he was a change from the more what would you call it?
Neocons?
Yeah, there's the neocons, but it's more of like the traditional. I guess the eunuch party is what John and I call it, which is like the combination of the Republicans and the Democrats, where they pretend to disagree with each other, but at the end of the day, all vote for the same thing.
Yeah, when it comes to certain things, they always fall in line on certain places and certain people that wear certain size
Money
hats.
to Israel?
Yeah.
Agree.
That's right. Well, and so that it boils down to that too, because now you've got this Trump saying he's going to actively campaign against Thomas Massey,
Yeah,
the senator who.
Which is oh, go ahead.
I mean, he's the one guy that said he went out on Tucker Carlson and said, yeah, everyone's got an APAC handler, which is the pretty much the Israeli government's way of controlling American politicians.
Mm-hmm.
And so Trump comes along, and people thought, he's different, he's outside of this, and now I think it's the realization that he's not all that different, and that the fact that he's president probably has a lot to do with his relationship with Netanyahu, and Netanyahu's and the strings that he and his other small hat wearers were able to pull.
yeah, no, for sure. I just none of it seems organic to me, like it did. It felt, or whether it was or not, it felt organic in 2016.
2016 was a wild time because you had the alt-right, as they were named, with the memes and the
Yeah,
shift in the culture, and there's no way Donald Trump's going to win, and then he wins.
The clowns. I also had the clowns.
yeah,
The
but it did.
clowns.
It felt a whole lot more organic than this feels.
It really did.
This
really
does
did.
not feel organic at all. This feels definitely forced and scripted.
I mean, I know hindsight's 2020, but anyone that thought Kamala Harris stood a chance in this election
Oh yeah, no.
was,
Well,
it's dumb.
I never thought she stood a chance, but I wasn't sure if they were just going to install her like they did Biden. You know what I mean?
Right. The fake black woman and gay guy from Minnesota.
Yeah.
They're not a competitive ticket in the culture. So I don't know. It's really upsetting because it seemed to have struck a cultural chord in 2024,
Mm-hmm.
and I really see this past week a shift in that tide as I'm watching kind of how people are interacting and reacting to the things that Trump are saying. And so I think it's, as much as I love to imagine that pendulum that swings from globalism to nationalism continue on the up and up of nationalism, I think we've reached an apogee, and we're just going to swing back to globalism and progressivism in the country.
Yeah. What's kind of confusing to me, and I kind of like your take on this, is it seems like the country has completely moved on from the whole trans and gay and all that type of agenda. Like your average everyday person, even your average liberal, seems to have been like, yeah, that was probably a bad idea.
No, just
But
step
the
too far.
party and like the Democrat Party and the media still seem to be trying to cling on to that for some reason. And it's confusing to me because it's like, you guys, this is clearly a losing issue. Your own party doesn't even want this anymore. Why are you guys clinging to this so hard still?
So this is actually something we mentioned on last night's show when we were talking about, in Europe, there's a lot of these far right-wing extremist movements that are happening. Germany is one. Romania is another one. So you have the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, in Germany right now. And what are these extremist right-wing fascist Nazis waving when they're marching through the streets for their party? The German national flag.
Right. Yeah.
Same thing with Colin Georgescu in Romania. They're waving the Romanian flag.
Right. But just like in the UK, they're waving the Union Jack. In America, we're
Union
waving the
Jack.
American flag. Yeah.
And they're labeled extremists, and they're a lot of times, like the AfD have been pretty much ruled illegal. Like you can't be a part of that and be in politics. And Colin Georgescu was just disbarred from running for presidency because they claim Russian influence and provide no proof.
Right.
But what's interesting, and to your point that you just made, is when you see the counter protesters that are out there. I saw a video of a guy out on the streets in Germany while the AfD is waving their German flags. The counter protesters are waving the gay flag, the rainbow flag.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so that is it's part of the identity of the anti-nationalist is the globalist, and with globalism comes the trans identity, the gay identity. It
Mhm.
is their flag and their symbolism. So
Yeah,
that's why they're clinging on to it.
Yeah, I see, and I guess like they can't just get on board with Trump. But what I see with Trump is just a different approach to the globalist agenda. That's why he wants Mexico and Canada and Greenland, because if you remember, the globalist agenda is the world is broken down into sections. You got if you look at like a WF map of how they want the world run, it would be U.S., Canada, and Mexico, Greenland. Like that would be one block, and then Europe and Asia would be others. But so it seems like Trump is still kind of following the globalist agenda as far as how they want the world lumped together and run. He's just taking a different approach at it.
yeah,
Yeah,
bringing it.
yeah.
He's bringing it in a nice little package that we can accept.
Well, he makes it look like nationalism. It's globalism that looks like nationalism.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously gonna be aspects of it that he cannot get away from. The Republican Party, he's being part of it. Marco Rubio, for instance, was all for Ukraine fighting against Russia, was all for the invasion of Iraq in 2008. And now he's the Secretary of State under Trump. There's only so many little angels and devils that can sit on your shoulder. And
Yeah.
if you turn your head left or right, they're all devils at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going to happen. So even if Trump does come in with a true vision of what he wants to achieve, he's still surrounded with people that are in
Have
the
their
old
own
guard.
agendas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the old guard.
Here's the other thing I'd like your opinion on, and this is kind of a two-parter. One, what is up with, like, they refer to Russia still as communist Russia. Like the USSR fell in 89, but yet they still refer to Russia as communist Russia, which is funny. But then the other part of that is like, how did they convince these? Because most of the Democrat Party nowadays is young people, younger than me,
Sure.
probably younger than you. I'm not sure how old you are, but you're in your 30s, I'm guessing,
Yeah,
like around
32,
Emily's age.
32.
So even at your age, though, you weren't really around for the USSR.
Nope.
You don't remember communism in Russia that well.
October of 1989.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like I was alive. I watched the Berlin Wall. I was young, but I can vividly remember the Berlin Wall falling. I can remember communism falling. I remember what it was like during the Cold War. But like nobody nowadays that's a Democrat remembers anything about the Cold War, knows nothing about it. How did they convince these young people that Russia is still this communist threat from the Cold War when people never experienced this?
Well, they tie it into stuff that they do care about. So if you think about who runs politics, it's still actually the boomers that have an iron grip over it.
Absolutely.
And the Democrats have always been really good at
Propaganda?
propaganda to pretty much rally certain groups and bases. Like black people are a perfect demographic example
Mhm.
of how Democrats have, promised them everything over the past 60 years and
Delivered
delivered nothing, but continued to promise them everything. Meanwhile, pointing to the other side and saying, "Those guys hate you."
That's why we can't get
Yeah,
it.
that's
Right.
part of that. That's part of that thing that I've never been able to understand. How Democrat-controlled cities have been controlled by Democrats and have never had a Republican for decades, four or five decades, and yet still blame the Republicans for the black people's problems in these cities.
So yeah, I mean, exactly right. It's like we're promising you this, but they're not even promising you anything. So
Right.
even if we don't deliver, you
We
should
at
still
least
vote for us.
acknowledge,
We're the better deal. And it's the same thing with the young people, I think, as well. So they sell things like homosexuality is repressed in Russia. They want to turn back the tide, and so Russia instantly becomes these bad guys because they're repressing gay rights, and women are second-class citizens in Russia. And so you get people on board with that messaging. And what's really more powerful than this idea that Russia is so bad and getting people on board with that is this idea of getting people to buy in that Ukraine is so different than Russia and they're so good and they haven't had a history of being one of the most corrupt nations in the world ever.
Definitely not.
They've just
Long
been
history.
these bad guys that have just been out of the blue attacked, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that led up to this invasion. and we need to
Definitely not
support
John
them.
Boss.
Yeah, that's the other thing. How did they convince all these young people about the gay agenda? Like 25% of the country of young people identify as
love.
gay nowadays.
Because
Love
it's a
is love.
minority. It's a well.
So I don't care. There's no
It's
amount.
a protected class. It's a protected
What do you?
class. You're
Let me
no
ask you, Tommy.
longer
What do you
making
have? What do
fun
you
of
have
me.
against love?
Yeah, I'm just saying. There's no amount of propaganda that's going to get me to put a penis in my mouth, bud. That's
But
all I'm
that's the thing
saying.
is he doesn't. You don't have to put the penis in your
and
mouth.
that's
You
the
just
that's
have
the
to tell
beauty
them
of the
that
messages.
you
You just
are.
have to say love is love.
Yeah,
How can you argue against love? Love is
And
good. The
it's pretty
Patriot
easy.
Act.
Yeah,
But are you not a patriot? Why
You're
would
not
you
a
support the
patriot?
Patriot Act? You
right. Yeah,
terrorist? Are you with the terrorists?
I
It's
am.
the same. It's the same thing.
It's
It's
a
all
protected
marketing
class.
and narrative painting.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, you know what I mean? I have younger cousins. I have a lot of younger cousins. And out of like 8 of them, two of them are gay.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Like, this is not normal. Like, there was
No.
no gay people. I didn't know any gay people at all growing up. Not a single one. Nobody was gay. And it's not like, oh, they were just hiding it during the club. No, none of these people were gay. You know what I mean?
No.
Joke's on them. Being gay is no longer cool. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of it has to do with that, where we've created a culture, and I think this is largely what we've turned away with when the election of Trump in 2024. I know it feels staged, but there are cultural implications when it comes to this stuff. But a lot of it we turned away from was we're demonizing anyone that was straight or that was white or that was kind of Christian, and we said, these people are the worst. They're the people that have always been in power, and they're the reason why things are so bad. And so we said all of these categories are bad, and so now you've got these straight white Christian kids that are like, well, maybe I'm a
I don't
woman.
want to be bad.
Maybe I'm gay. It's like,
Yeah.
I want to be one of the good guys. I want to be the Disney movie hero, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, let's say like I have 2 out of 8 young male cousins who grew up in a Christian household in a Christian church,
Yep.
and were
Christian school.
propagandized enough to put a penis in their mouth and their butt. Like, you know what I mean? I don't understand it. It's like, how does that happen? I don't know.
I
It's
don't know.
like taking a reverse poop.
Yeah, yes.
Yep.
I've never wanted to take a reverse poop.
Nor have I. I've always said that belongs out.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and only. Jenny did make a good point. I'll tell you why there's a trans agenda. Once you transition, you are on a big pharma, or you are a big pharma customer for life, stuck on expensive drugs forever. Yes.
That's part of it.
Each youth
Yeah.
that starts just takes the little tiny steps down this road, 5 million over their lifetime, minimum. Minimum. That's not counting any of the plastic surgeries that they're going to get to try to get this to go right. That's not taking into consideration if they don't have a long life. But if they have an average lifespan, it's like 5 million over their lifetime. Each one of those young people who gets got by the ideology.
Yeah.
And that's where I get annoyed with it. It's like, it's one thing for grown adults to make these decisions. It's one thing for like the AIDS epidemic to happen because the gay men are uppers and bumming each other. Like, right? That makes sense. You are all adults. You were all adults. You all made your choices. But going after the children is where I draw the line. There's no reason to confuse these children. Absolutely none.
Okay, so speaking of AIDS, a little off topic, heterosexual age is a myth, right? You agree?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, unless you you're a drug addict and get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
way, but
Yeah, no, but getting AIDS through heterosexual sex is
That's not how it happens.
it's 99.99999%. You're not gonna, you know what I mean? Like there may be,
similar to monkeypox
yeah.
Funny how that works.
or mpox. Sorry, monkey is
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
offensive
you
to
can't say that.
monkeys, apparently. I don't know.
Right. It's offensive to black
It
people.
makes the person with the monkeypox sound like they boned a monkey.
Well, what's funny too is because like the Democrats, as much as they call everybody else racist, they are the most racist people ever. Like they're the ones that say, "Oh, you can't call it monkeypox. That's racist." Racist to who you call a monkey? But it's a disease. I would say it's an illness. I wasn't calling anybody a monkey. What are you saying here? You know what I mean?
Well,
Are you calling people of a certain ethnic background a monkey? Is that what you're telling me?
That's
Yeah,
like saying
there's-
bakers are bad and they're like anti-Semitic.
when you think about it long enough, it devolves down to the point where the left and the liberals are always way more racist than the right, because it's like
Yeah.
you are implying that
Yeah.
I'm implying this. which
Mhm.
means you're thinking that way.
It means
Uh,
yeah, exactly. That's a you thought.
There is a big pharma ad for some sort of HIV medication on TV right now, and I remember there was some backlash for it because the people featured were black or gay in
Yes.
the ad, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Was it
who?
the AbbVie one?
I think so. I think so. And it
That
was
was
like,
the
who
that
do
was
you
the
think gets
noticing with that.
AIDS? I was
Yeah.
like, it's targeted marketing because that's who gets AIDS.
That's
Yes, all those prep commercials and that you see nowadays and the age, yes, it's all blacks, gays, and trans people in the commercials. There's no straight white people at all in them. Now, to be fair, there's no straight white people in any commercial
That's
anymore.
right. That's right.
So, but yeah,
Unless
but
it's like
that
a
is,
depression drug.
yeah,
right.
You
yeah,
notice
but
that depression drugs, the number one thing in depression drugs is like, if you're depressed, you don't want to take your dog for a walk. And
Yeah.
then by
Yeah.
the end of the commercial, it's just you in the park with your dog.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Or the
yeah,
old Zoloft commercials where it's the white lady with the little gray cloud
Cloud over
following
it.
her around.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's like, yeah, of course they're not gonna market AIDS drugs to straight white people. They don't get AIDS.
Exactly.
They don't get AIDS. There's no point. But yeah, no, it is true that the left is so much more racist than anybody. Like, even if you look at these protests, like the first thing they do when a black cop shows up at a protest is start calling him a nigger. It's like every time. It's the first thing
Yeah.
they do. They
Uncle
start screaming it.
Tom or
Yeah. Well, they literally just start screaming legitimate racial slurs, the N-word, and you know what I mean? Like, it is just straight up racism.
oh yeah, and it's the political football. Malcolm X talked about this all the time. Black people are the political football. They get tossed around.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was all of 2020. That's all
Yeah.
it was. Did the Democrats care that this black guy got killed? No, they didn't care.
No.
What they
They
cared
just knew
was
that you'd get riled up about it.
that's right. What they cared was there's a Republican in an office and people are out in the streets, chaos and confusion. Let's ironically elect the oldest white guy we can find.
Right. Yeah.
The oldest white guy who definitely put at least half of these kids' dads in jail with his legislation that he put in, that his own son isn't even held to.
But he was the
Yeah.
vice president under the first black president,
Yeah.
and he has a
Hilarious.
black vice
A
black
black
vice president.
Yeah. She's Asian, Indian, and
Caramel
Irish.
colored.
But yes, she's black. Somehow, when you mix Asian, Indian, and Irish, you get black.
Hadley got a sidebar conversation. Hadley got a sticker pack off of Amazon, and in the random sticker pack that she got, there's some like there was Bernie Sanders sitting in his chair with his mittens on and his mask, and she's like, I don't know who this is, but it said mood on the bottom. She's like, but I agree with it. Who is that? And I was like, that's Bernie Sanders. And she's like, who? And I like had to explain. He's just like this old guy who's always trying to do something, but always frustrated and whatever. He's an old politician guy. And then she's like looking through her stickers, and there was a Barack Obama one, and it said what? And it just had like one of his weird faces on it. And she's like, who? She's like, Joe Biden. And I was
Yep.
like, nope. Joe Biden worked for him. And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, I for a second I was like, is it good or bad that my child doesn't know who Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders are?
Good.
It is good. I settled on it's a good. It's a parenting W that my kid doesn't know who Bernie Sanders are or Barack Obama. So then I had to explain to her like, oh no, Barack Obama was the president, Joe Biden was the vice president, is the first black president, and she's like, oh, okay. And she's like, I don't want these stickers. I was like, that's fair. I'll take them.
Yeah.
Bill Clinton was the first black president.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes, he was. He even played the saxophone. You know what I mean?
Can't get
Like,
blacker than that.
yeah. Well, if he
not.
played the bass guitar, maybe a little bit blacker,
That's
but
right.
it's pretty. It's 50-50 really at that point.
Yeah,
It's a distinction without a difference.
pretty much.
Man. Yeah, politics is it's a wild thing. It's definitely not for everyone. But I've always just like status politics are interesting. I always found geopolitics far more interesting.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. What's going on around the world and who are the key players and why.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always money.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. What about this? What's his name in Canada that they just installed? The guy, he's not even
Um,
Canadian. Is Kramer? Is that his name? No.
I've got let me
Carney.
Carney.
I
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's European. He's not even Canadian. The guy holds 3 passports. He's never even really lived in Canada. He's now the prime minister.
Mark Carney. Yeah, he's just he was a Goldman Sachs banker.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Perfect. Exactly what Canada needs.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
then he asked Canadians like, how could you vote for this guy? I'm like, we didn't vote for this guy. The party installed him. We didn't vote. Like, oh yeah, that's right.
It's how it works. Yeah, pretty much.
They have the I can't remember what they call that type of parliamentary government, the Commonwealth parliamentary government or some shit they call it. It's
Where like the representatives make decisions based on who they represent.
no.
Yeah, he is part of the party that's in charge, and so
So
he
they
gets
just get to
nominated.
appoint him. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't need elections.
Gotcha.
We're the party in charge until we decide to call elections again. They don't even have like set election dates. They
Right.
decide when they want to call elections. So if the party's in charge doesn't want to call elections, they keep appointing people.
It's kind of wild. And we were talking last night about how the Philippines, they have got this guy who's currently president. His name is Bong Fernandez or something like that. Marcos Bong Marcos is his name. But the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court, just arrested the last president, who is Robert Duterte, and over some sort of human rights abuses. The ICC, the U.S. opted out of. But basically, Robert Duterte's daughter is currently vice president of the Philippines as well. So, which goes to show you like how different political systems are, because the vice president's dad and the previous president of the country would never be arrested by any sort of organization in the United States, especially not the ICC.
Yeah,
which
well,
we
have
founded and then opted out of.
Yeah, we have the Hague Amendment, meaning that if the ICC ever tried to pursue criminal charges against a U.S. politician, we automatically bomb them.
Yeah.
There you go.
I
It's
don't know if you were aware of
the
that.
Samson doctrine with Israel.
Yeah,
Where basically, if they're
They feel
not
like
going to
they're-
exist anymore, they can end the entire world with a nuclear holocaust.
yeah,
Mhm.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that's a thing.
yeah. No, absolutely. What kind of world would this be without it?
Oh, thank God we have that insurance policy.
So
Don't get too crazy. Israel will nuke us all.
yeah, and then you got all the stuff going on in Myanmar or Burma, whatever you want to call it. That's a whole nother story. I don't know if you're familiar with what's going on over there.
No, actually, no.
Oh, yeah, that's a topic for another show. But yeah, I'm not super. There's just it's Myanmar or Burma, as we all know it as. And they've been fighting for decades now. But yeah, they just keep imprisoning the new leaders on both sides, and it's nonsense.
Nobody's running the country.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, didn't the lady that got ousted recently, or is this Bangladesh I'm thinking of?
I think you're thinking of Bangladesh.
Probably. She had to escape to a nearby nation because they came and pulled her out. It
Yeah.
all starts in the universities. That's how they infiltrate
always-
these countries.
Yeah, that's how communism gets a foothold, is in the university system. That's how it's been trying to take over America.
Yeah. So when we were talking about the far right factions in these other countries that are just actually nationalists who want their country to not be part of the world, and not be in the globalist agenda, and everybody's waving the T flag. I think that's kind of like the perfect summation of queer is not a gender identity. Queer is a political ideology.
Yeah.
Right. If you go all the way back to when the word came into the fucking vernacular, it was made up by a dude who wanted something completely opposite of everything norm. Everything, all the things that we have been used to, nuclear families, countries worrying about themselves, all of that stuff. Queer is just this blanket term to subvert all of it.
Yes.
So the idea of these young people being queer, they're part of this major political ideology that they don't even understand, and yet they're insanely successful. They're so successful, and I hate it. I get so frustrated.
At their goal of converting other people to it.
Yeah, of getting so they show up in the universities, right? And in these universities, they tell people, "Oh, you're an adult now. You can think for yourself. You could do whatever you want. Also, here's all this propaganda about queer stuff, and here's all these crazy globalist ideologies, and also here's these tenured professors who have axes to grind."
Well, it used to start in the universities. In the last 10 years, it starts in kindergarten now.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, they're convincing, you got teachers convincing your kindergartner that he's gay and queer now.
They're having our school board right now is in the middle of that. They're doing an election, and there's one dumb pediatrician bitch trying to run. But she got fired from Carl Health for lying and saying that the hospital would sue the school if they didn't let this wannabe girl play in the boys' sports. She lied. She's totally fine with the LGBT stuff. She's totally fine with transitioning children. She's totally fine with our young people being in the LGBT tribe. She sees no issues in it, and she uses the love is love thing. And
Yep.
as an Episcopal, right? Like I just what Jesus tells us to love each other. No, because Jesus also says anybody who leads these young ones astray, it would be better for you to put a millstone around your neck and find a deep body of water. That's also what Jesus said.
Yeah.
So, but here you are coming into a insanely Christian community, insanely conservative community, six-figure median income community, and you want to bring your dumb 1% stuff to these people, infect all of them with it, and get everyone all wound up and worked up just for what? What does this do other than ruin the community? But she's not stopping, and her horde isn't stopping either.
They won't get elected, but yeah.
Well, she won't get elected. I hope she doesn't get elected.
She won't get elected in
I
this town.
hope. I've been praying that there's more of us than her in town, but I don't know that. I can't trust that anymore in America in 2025. I can't trust that
Yeah.
there's not more of those mind virus people out there than us.
Yeah, it does. It is one of those things like this town
Homeschool.
can't, it won't continue the way it has been for 100 years or whatever.
Mhm.
It's still a very upper middle class, conservative Christian white community. But the problem is this town it's a Caterpillar town. And it's engineers, it's mainly engineers who work for Caterpillar to live in our town.
Yeah.
Sure.
So which means a lot of people move here from places like California and stuff like that to take jobs with Caterpillar, and eventually the numbers are going to change. You know what I mean?
And not only that, having that type of a job in this area, you probably went to college, and you probably met your dumb wife at college, and her dumb lady brain mind rot self is here doing things too. Whether she has a job or not, doesn't matter. She's here too. And that's where I get a little worried as far as like the sanity of people goes.
Yeah. So that's what's funny too is, I'm talking to friends and their wives are like more liberal, some of their friends and whatnot. And I was talking about the Fall of Minneapolis documentary, which is about George Floyd and all the lies that we're told about. And I was sending it to a friend, and he asked me if his wife would like it. And I was explaining to him as he goes, "Oh, so no." And meanwhile, I get a Snapchat from my wife who's coming home from work. This is early in the morning because she does night shifts, and it's a screenshot, or it's like a picture of a car, and it's like pro-trans, or Black Art Matters, like all these different stickers on it. And she captions it, "You forgot your big fucking loser sticker."
You got you a keeper.
That's what I said. I was like, my God, my semi-trad kind of wife is amazing.
Yeah.
The best.
Yeah, we'll get her in a Latin mass sooner or later.
She'd like it. She'd like it. Her parents are like devout Catholics.
Nice. So all right. Well, we were at like an hour and 40 minutes, and I got to get up early, bud. So I think we're gonna call it a show here.
I'm for it.
But yeah, we will definitely have you back on sooner rather than later. This has been an excellent conversation as always. I've really enjoyed ourselves.
Yeah, I had a great time. Love
Yes.
playing you guys.
So yeah, we're gonna roll out, and if you want to hang out for a minute, we'll talk a little bit after the show, and yeah. So thank everybody for watching. We really appreciate you guys. We wouldn't have the show without you. So God bless everybody, and have a wonderful evening. Emily,
I will be back Friday morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time. I know that only assholes and doctors call meetings at that time, but I run a stream Mondays and Fridays at 6:30 in the morning.
nice.
That's too good.
I
That's
thought
too
that was
good.
hilarious, honestly. I was like, nope. And Emily's solo stream. I do that at 6:30.
Yeah. And yeah, me and Emily will be back with another episode of Restore Christendom on Sunday.
Yep.
And then Dan, why don't you remind everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, MMO.show. We're live on the internet, stream.mmo.show every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Got some groovy
right.
tunes going on.
Excellent.
Show up early for the tunes, stay for the media deconstruction.
That's
Yeah,
right.
what she said. Yeah. So, all right, guys, everybody have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching.
Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera